Peace to the family. I wasn't going to make a video this morning. It's approximately 0700 hours Pacific Asian time where I'm at now. So I woke up this morning and I looked on social media and everybody's talking about what happened to the young queen in Oakland, California, Nia Wilson, killed by a terrorist, John Lee Cowell. Sounds very similar to Coward, which is what he is. I don't really need to get into the specifics of what happened because you can get that off social media and some mainstream media outlets because they've got to run the story once social media puts it out. They're trying to hide the story, obviously. But what I want to talk about is that we're going to have to be real about what's going on with black people. We are at war. This is a resurgence. We're going to have to understand what's happening, and we're going to have to accept it and stop being afraid to admit it. Stop just acting like nothing's going on. I mean, everybody has a cell phone, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You know what's going out there. You see the videos. You're going to have to accept adults, teenagers. We're going to have to teach our family and our children, our friends, that when we see these individuals, when we see them, we're going to have our head on a swivel. We're going to have to walk around like we are in combat. At the very least, we're going to have to be aware of what's going on. Right now, there's a resurgence of hate crime and white supremacist attacks. And when you see these individuals, you're going to have to be on code, and you're going to have to be in a mindset in which you are knowing and being aware of your surroundings. This is happening every day. We're going to have to admit that. We're going to have to tell that to our children. We're going to have to act like we are at war. This is happening not only all over the world, but in Western society, in America and Canada. These attacks are happening by these terrorists. And we're going to have to train our people to be alert and stay alive and take these things serious, because they are serious. We cannot let the mainstream media, we cannot let these people that are living in a fantasy world tell us that we are not under attack. Anytime you go out to a public place, anywhere, you're going to have to be alert and recognize who the enemy is and what they're doing. We live in that age. We cannot look at a person and assume that's not a bad person, or assume that person doesn't have a weapon, or assume that person isn't going to hurt us, because they are. You have to be aware. When you go out with your children, when your children go out, and I'm not telling people to hide and run and be scared. That's not what I'm saying. And you're going to have to protect yourself. Ladies, black queens, women out there, you're going to have to take you some mace, and you're going to have to defend yourself. And we're going to have to stand our ground. You have to understand that everyone who is targeting us is a threat until it is perceived they are not. Sometimes, at the very least, if you're paying attention to your surroundings, that can keep you alive. At the very least, paying attention to your surroundings can keep you alive. You know, we have to recognize it for what it is. That's a recurring theme in this video, is to make sure you understand what's going on. Understand the threat that we face. A lot of people are talking about this may be a retaliation from the incident that happened with the Oath Keepers in Los Angeles with Maxine Waters. You know, really, I'm not going to blame it on that. I'm not going to blame it on that. It really doesn't matter what the reason behind it. We don't need to finger point. We don't need to play a blame game, because this happens all too often and we're just ignoring it. It's like we as black people are afraid to admit when we are being brutalized and terrorized and murdered at all sections, at all points. So we're going to have to stay alert, stay alive. Parents, you have to understand it is your responsibility. Adults, it is your responsibility to tell people what's going on. It's your responsibility to inform your children of what's going on. This young 18-year-old and her sister, her older sister, was also stabbed, but at this point in time she is alive. Like I said, the specifics of the details you're going to be able to find it on Twitter and Facebook, but I want to talk about where we're lacking. And we're lacking because we're not protecting ourselves and we're not admitting what's going on in our environment. So we're going to have to do better, black people. We're going to have to protect our family and our children. We're going to have to teach them that we're living in the jungle, in a modern day jungle, and we are prey, but we don't have to be prey. We have to defend ourselves, and we have to remain alert, and we have to know who the threat, identify them. Stop listening to these clowns out here who have this division between black men and white women, and zaddy and swirling, and this guy is no good, and this guy is going to protect me, and all that's nonsense. There are people out there that means to do you harm because you are black, man and woman. You're going to have to face this reality. Who is to blame? We're all to blame. But parents, adults, young adults, and teens, you're going to have to stay alert and stay alive. This is the Expat Israelite. Until next time, shalom.